This is Stanley Scism, and we're dealing with a couple extra points regarding Genesis chapter 6. We had talked about the sons of God, daughters of men, Genesis chapter 6, verses 2 and 3. And the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. When the Lord said, "My spirit will not contend with man forever, for he is mortal. His days will be 120 years." Now, as we already mentioned in the previous clip, what these are, and probably these are fallen angels. And if you want to say they are supernatural beings, okay, they're evil supernatural beings, so that's fallen angels. The two questions that people have asked: number one, they have said, if these demons were able to do this, cohabit with human women at that time, then the question comes, why don't they still do that now? And the answer to that has been twofold over the years. Number one, some people have said there are demons who do that now, and that subsequent to the fall, there has been demonic activity with other women, and that this has been reflected in the mythologies of different cultures, where the gods to them, but are actually demons, have cohabited, supernatural beings have cohabited with human women. And of course, the examples of this are legion, and most famously probably Zeus in Greek mythology, who did it very many times. And it's also in Hindu mythology, where Shiva gets around like this quite a bit, does this kind of thing quite a lot. Now, so that's some people say that it has happened since then. And then there are other people who say, no, it hasn't happened since then. And the reason they give is in 1 Peter. 1 Peter says in 1 Peter chapter 3 that Jesus went and preached to the spirits in prison. When did Jesus do this? After Jesus was crucified and then buried. There's a period of time before he rises again. So he goes down to hell because he's got the sins of the world on him. He has not committed his own sin, but he has their sin. And so he goes down and preaches to the spirits in prison. Now, who are these spirits? It says in verse 20, they disobeyed long ago when God waited patiently in the days of Noah while the ark was being built. So you see, God has seen the violence on the earth, and then just before the flood, in addition to the physical destruction of the planet, life on the planet, except for that in the ark, and except for the sea-dwelling creatures. But in addition to that, God does something else. These supernatural beings who have been doing this kind of thing, he had them imprisoned in the underworld, the place of the dead, and that's where they were, and that's why they could not do this kind of thing afterwards, and that's why they still were when Jesus went and preached to them. Now you may say, so which is it? Do they still do that now to this day, or did they stop because they were in prison? I'm saying that either one of these are satisfactory reasons why, to the question that people say, if they did it, why aren't they still doing it? And if the people who try to say it can't possibly be, well, it can be, because the sons of God are taking physical form. They eat, for example. Two angels come with God in human form and eat Abraham's food in Genesis chapter 18. They can do physical functions, and but then the people who say, well, then how about the scripture that says that when we die, we are like the angels in heaven and do not cohabit, who are not married or given in marriage? Yes, the angels in heaven, the obedient angels, don't do this. they don't marry, and they are not given in marriage. That's the ones that are still loyal to God and still following God. And when we go to heaven, and then we will be like those angels. But this does not say that the angels were incapable of a choice to rebel against God and of a choice to do this physical activity. So that's answering those two questions that people have brought up before. Thank you.